I have been having this discussion with my husband for months. I used to think I was reasonable, but his inability to understand makes me think I'm insane. My husband and I live together in an apartment. I go to work every day at 7 a.m., and by the time I get home at 7 p.m., the lights are on in every room, and the water is running in the kitchen and the bathroom sinks. According to him, they are on all day every day. I cannot work from home, and we are wasting a lot of money. I've asked him if there's a reason he needs to turn them on all day, but he tells me that it's impossible to turn the lights and water off. When I told him that it's not impossible because he can turn them off using his hands, he says, "But you have hands, and you choose not to work as a mechanic, so I also can choose not to turn it off." I tell him that is different because it costs money and is bad to waste resources, but he insists it's the same thing because I can technically be a mechanic but choose not to do so. So why does he have to choose to turn off the lights? When I am at home, I turn them off after him, and it doesn't seem to cause him any discomfort to have them off, but he just refuses to turn them off himself. When I talk to him about it, he says I'm nagging him and that I should leave him alone. Is he right that I am wrong and his mechanic analogy accurate? By the way, we are a single-income household, and I know we could be paying less for bills if he would stop leaving things on all day. I'm starting to think I am the idiot for asking my husband to turn off the lights and faucets because he says it's his choice. Not the idiot. Your husband is a toxic idiot, and you need him out of the house immediately. He's doing what's called financial control. By wasting electricity and water, he's making sure you're never in the situation where you can afford to separate. I suggest secretly planting spy cameras in your house when he's not home to catch him in the act. Also, hire a psychiatrist to see why he's behaving like a child. You are not in a healthy relationship, and take it from me, you need to change it quickly. He does actually control things financially. I'm the only one who works because the day we were legally married, he changed, quit his job, and does not respect our living space at all. He insists I give him all the money we have left after paying for the essentials, saying that I'm toxic if I don't. And I don't even have credit on my phone or buy things I need because he insists on having all the money. I have thoughts of leaving, but would feel guilty for breaking my vows. OP, is your husband okay? Has he talked to someone? Get out now. He is mistreating you in all kinds of ways. Close that bank account that he controls. Open your own account and run. He isn't crazy. He's gaslighting you. Run. Did you marry a toddler? He can't turn off taps and lights because you're not a mechanic? What the heck sort of backward logic is he trying to employ here? Because the whole point of logic is that it makes sense. He needs to get a job and stop mooching off of you. Sitting at home with all the faucets and lights on because you're not a mechanic is just mind-boggling. I'm at a loss to which pond you fished him out of, because personally, I'd have tossed him back a while ago. He's got some growing to do. The whole mechanic thing doesn't make any sense at all. A mechanical job requires skills. Turning off a light or a tap doesn't. Maybe give him a taste of the consequences. If you don't mind living in the dark with no running water for a couple of days, talk to the owners of the building and explain the situation. See if they can turn it off for a while. If he asks why nothing works, then tell him that's what will happen if you keep overspending the money on bills. And if he wants to continue his behavior, then he has to get used to it. Wow, that's a creative way to get him to see the consequences. I didn't even know it was possible to just have everything turned off. I'll talk to the owner and see. I am desperate, honestly, and that's a good point you make on the mechanic job. I'll tell him that it requires skills I don't have the next time he brings it up. Thank you for confirming that I am in fact sane for wanting him to stop wasting the lights and water. In addition, living with him is stressful because he leaves garbage all over the floor and makes a mess daily. My 32 male, wife 33, and I have 3 kids, and my wife just gave birth to a little boy. My wife loves sharing things on social media, but has never really posted pictures of our kids until now because she's recently made it so that her page can only be viewed by her close family, including her brother 38 and his wife 30. Both of them don't like children and have decided not to have any. Okay, it's their life, good for them. A few days ago, my wife started posting 2 pictures of our son a day with cute little captions. Yesterday, I received a text from my brother-in-law asking if I could tell my wife to stop posting pictures of the baby. I asked why, and she told me that he and his wife didn't want to see kids on his social media feed and asked that I respected his decision. I told him that I wouldn't be his messenger and talk to my wife himself, but he replied that he didn't want to upset her and just talk to her because the baby pictures were driving him insane. I told him that I thought that was rather dramatic, and that's when he said that he was already forced to deal with our kids during family reunions, which haven't happened since late 2019, and that he shouldn't have to expect to deal with them in his off time. I didn't reply to that message and instead talked to my wife about it. She's a bit quicker to anger than I am, and she sent a message that essentially said that if he couldn't deal with 2 pictures a day, then he didn't need to see anything going on in our lives. So we talked about it a little more and agreed to block both of them from that social media. My brother-in-law has now contacted me through Messenger, absolutely upset that he and his wife have been blocked, saying that we jumped the gun and were just being petty about the situation. Were we? My wife is quite firm that we did what was the right thing, but I'm a little hesitant to agree. Not the idiot. What is this insanity? Your wife's brother is reaching out to you instead of directly contacting his sister? All because he doesn't like seeing pictures she posts on Facebook? What a tool he must be. Show him how he can unfollow you if it's driving him so insane. Your wife is most definitely not being petty. She's fine. He's got more than one screw loose. Not the idiot. Your brother-in-law doesn't get to dictate what your wife posts on her social media. He could have fixed this in a far less hurtful way by simply filtering content in his feed. Instead, your wife just gave him what he asked for. Since he's now blocked, he doesn't have to see baby pics in his feed, and your wife can continue to post the content she wants. Problem solved. Also, point out that the brother-in-law didn't want to upset OP's wife when OP said to talk to her himself. But brother-in-law had no problem with OP upsetting his wife on his behalf. So not only is he an idiot, but he's a coward too. Yes, not the idiot. And I'd go so far as to say that this is not a couple that doesn't want to have kids. It sounds like one does, one does not. Fights are happening, and social media baby pics are making it worse. None of which is OP's problem, nor his wife's. But regardless of the in-law drama, which is happening in some capacity, in what universe is asking other people to censor themselves the step that comes before filtering your own content? Agree. Brother-in-law doesn't want kids, but his wife is starting to soften to the idea, and the pictures are not helping the oncoming discussion. Your social media is to share what you want, and nobody can control that except for you. If he does not want to see baby pictures, then he could simply unfollow the account. Blocking was the right thing to do. Your kids are an important part of your life, and if he wants to be in your life, he has to deal with it. My ex-wife was a stay-at-home mom during our 16-year marriage, and since we got married very young, she has very little job experience and is in her 40s. She works at a diner as a waitress currently. She no longer receives alimony from me since she remarried, automatically stopping the payments, which were originally lifetime, due to the fact that she was in her mid-30s with no education or job experience. Well, now that they divorced, she's had to get a job, since unlike with me, she didn't get hardly any spousal support from her last husband. The thing is, she doesn't make enough to really do much of anything. I have a lot of disposable income, and she has no disposable income. She fell way behind on bills and reached out to me as a last resort. So I asked my wife thinking she'd say okay. She did not. Almost immediately after, X and her car were involved in an accident. She had a hospital bill which totaled $77,000, and I paid that expense along with buying her a new car and gave her e-money to catch up on bills, with extra to pay her monthly expenses till she gets back on her feet. My wife was angry when she found out. She claims my ex needs to fend for herself, but my ex is only in this position because she had to drop out to take care of our baby and ended up just staying home. When we split, she didn't have the credentials to make a living wage. I had quite literally no choice. I told her it would be cruel to watch the woman who enabled me to get to where I am suffer. She lost it and now won't talk to me. not the idiot. It's one thing if she would be pestering you for money or trying to take advantage of you, but it's another if they're down on their luck. It's important to take care of the people that got you where you are and that you've spent a significant amount of your life with. You ultimately went separate paths, but that doesn't mean you should watch them crumble. I understand your wife's point of view, but I think she should really try to widen her horizons to see the bigger picture. You can understand his current wife being upset if they were still emotionally involved or themselves had limited means, but it sounds like OP couldn't be better off, and his ex-wife was a huge part of that wealth generation and his suffering. It shows a real selfish spirit or insecurity for your current wife to be so upset, OP, unless there's something missing here. There's a couple of ways I see this, honestly. OP was a little bit of an idiot for going ahead and covering these expenses for his ex after his current wife had already said she wasn't okay with it. $77,000 plus a new car is a lot of money, and in a marriage, those kind of financial decisions should always be discussed and agreed upon before action was taken. He spoke to his wife. She told him no. He did it anyway, seemingly behind her back. OP, you are the idiot here. I think this really depends if their children are underage or not. If they are full adults and he's basically paying his ex's entire cost of living, I would not be okay with that as a second wife. She has had plenty of time to become independent if they are adults. OP, would you be okay with your second wife spending $100K on her ex? I doubt it. This is a financial decision that you and your current wife need to make together, unless you want a second divorce, more alimony, and wife number 3 to chime in. My wife, 33, and I, 33 male, have been together for 13 years and married for 12. I love her dearly. She's intelligent, gorgeous, compassionate, and above all, a wonderful mother to our firstborn and only child. Unfortunately, our relationship was hostile soon after our marriage due to our fertility issues. Eventually, however, we reconciled once we were blessed with the news of our son, and since then our relationship has been uneventful. As a stay-at-home mom, she cares for our son when he's home from preschool. I play an active role in our son's life as well. I take him on walks, read him to sleep, play with him, etc. However, I often get home late due to my job, meaning she is with him more often than I am. This is relevant. Now the issue. My wife's phobia of stink bugs. Every time she spots or hears one, she squeals like a child, and it drives me up the wall. It's so bad that she once found one crawling on her in our bed and refused to sleep in our room for the next week. I offered to find her a therapist, but she's refused. This wouldn't be much of an issue were it not for its impact on our son. He's begun to take after his mother. Now whenever he sees one, he starts to wail like her and is inconsolable for hours. It hurts seeing him that distraught. I don't mind his tears, but knowing he's hurting pains me, so much so that I've begun to resent my wife. Yesterday I snapped. I was napping next to my son on the couch when I was jolted awake by glass shattering and my wife squealing. Worried that she was hurt, I raced into the kitchen, where I found her cowering in a corner, sobbing uncontrollably. When I asked her what had happened, she pointed to the glass shards on the floor, where she told me she had dropped a plate on a stink bug. At that moment, my son began crying. I saw red and barked at my wife. "This is the example you set for son's name? Grow up." I had a few other choice words, none of which I remember, before storming off. I tried apologizing to her last night, but she wouldn't even look at me. Instead, she sent me a text this morning berating me for exploding in front of our son, an incident she claims constitutes verbal mistreatment. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot for berating your wife for something it sounds like is out of her control. It doesn't seem like she likes reacting the way she does, but presumably she can't help it. If her phobia driving her into hysterics wasn't hard enough, now she's got you tearing her a new one at the same time. Oh, and by the way, how do you think your outburst helped your son's negative association with stink bugs? She's putting the child in danger when she sees a stink bug. I really don't see how OP's the idiot at all. If she can't control herself in this scenario, how will she control herself if she sees a stink bug while driving? Or maybe she'll leave a kid in the bathtub because there's a stink bug too close to him. Genuinely, either she needs to control herself or she's not safe to be around this child. Clearly, she's not making good decisions. Everyone is sympathetic to her mental wellness. I am not sympathetic to the fact that she does not seek treatment. Most people literally can't afford treatment, and she has no excuse. Disagree. You are the idiot, OP. A phobia is a real and uncontrollable fear. She should get help coping for her own peace. But I imagine stink bugs don't have a huge impact on her normal day-to-day life, unless you have a huge stink bug infestation. More important would be for you to get the help dealing with your anger and resentment towards your wife for having a phobia. I understand it's a bummer that your son is mimicking your wife's fear reaction, but how disappointed will you be when he starts mimicking your lack of empathy and starts treating people poorly when they're afraid, or doesn't want to share when he's scared with you for fear of being ridiculed the way you ridicule his mom? It's a bummer that the mother has traumatized her child with her outburst that she's refused help for years. No, due to neglecting her own mental health, she is now inflicting trauma on her own child. It's not okay. OP's wife isn't a safe mom if she breaks dishes and then sobs in a ball with a young child at home. Parents' first response should be protecting their children against perceived harm, not wailing hysterics. In October last year, my 30 female, boyfriend 30 male, lost his job in a gym. He has been using government unemployment pay to contribute partially to our expenses. He kept thinking that gyms would be reopened, so he didn't look for another job. During his unemployment, he has been getting even more in shape and working out for several hours a day, while I have gone the opposite route. I do short workouts twice a week and go on walks. We also eat super healthy, lots of grilled vegetables, and we have no junk food in the house. But I have picked up extra shifts, and it's aging me. Acne, age lines. I'm not as in shape as I used to be and haven't been putting as much effort into looking good. Overall, he's much better looking than me, but he's never brought it up. The other day, we were going to a park to sit, distanced, with my boyfriend's friends and have a coffee, and I grabbed the first thing I found and put it on. I said I was ready, and he got really upset. He pointed out the shirt was old and tattered, and that I had no makeup on and was looking like a zombie, his words. He then said how I had really let myself go, and how he had stepped up his game, and how he might be shallow but it needed to be said. I lost it, and told him if I had nothing to do but work out, I'd also be ripped and fit, but that I had to work, and looking hot was the last thing on my list. I refused to change and didn't go. He has since said he meant that he's worried about my health, and I overreacted by shaming him for not having a job. But I am really not sure how my shirt impacts my health. Am I the idiot for refusing to change and stop looking like a zombie? Not the idiot. How is insulting you supposed to motivate you? If he was really worried about how tired you looked, he would find another job to help take some pressure off you, not whine about how he looks so much hotter than you now. Ugh, I hate it when women are expected to put on makeup, put on a bra, and dress up, or we look sick. You reacted in the heat of the moment, which isn't always great, but we're stating facts. Let me get this straight. Boyfriend isn't working and not looking for a job, so he's spending all day doing whatever he wants, working out. You, presumably, because your partner doesn't have a job, are working extra now. Honestly, boyfriend sounds narcissistic, selfish, and lazy. Boyfriend needs to step up his game as a contributing member of the household and take some of the stress off of you. Maybe then you'll have more time and energy to take care of your health and beauty.